Hi, my name's Russell Pearson. Welcome back for another Rusty production. Today we're going to be making some wolf jaw tongs. So anyone who's been watching me for any length of time understands that I'm a novice blacksmith, which means that I'm just starting, I'm making a whole bunch of mistakes. This is basically my second month doing this. What I have done though is I've made these tongs in the past, and you can check them out on an earlier video, but this is the very first pair of tongs that I made, and I've only made the one tongs. I'm going to make my second pair today. What's interesting about these is they were made for flat stock. I probably use flat stock maybe 25% of the time, and I'm using round stock in the majority of the time. So these are not great for that. So I'm going to be making wolf jaw tongs today, which should be able to allow me to hold flat stock and round stock. Not at the same time, but they're going to be much more useful for me. And there's a couple of things that I learned by making these ones, which I'm going to try and bring into today. One of the things that I did wrong previously is I thinned out the material far too much and I overworked it. So there's all sorts of extra dents that I don't need. I could clean those up with a file, but I didn't. These are far too thin for me to put any sort of indentations into so that I can actually hold or change these to hold round stock. So I'm just basically going to start today with this piece of 10mm square stock, and I'm going to be making the end on this side and the end on that side. Then I'll draw it out through the center, chop it in half, and then we'll put it together. So what I'm going to be aiming for is to keep the material fairly thick, which will allow me to do a lot more once I've actually created the blanks as far as the handles. So let's get started. So I'm just going to make the end on this one a little bit longer than I had previously, so I'm going to do halfway on that anvil. Alright, so that's the basic measurements. If you can see that. I'm going to have to I'm going to clean up around this center part here, and then punch a hole through the center, and then that'll be this end done. For the time being, I'll clean it up at the end. Just want to make sure that it measures out the same on both sides. So now that I've got this second side just about right, I'm just going to round out the reins a little. So I'm starting to round out the reins here, bring it down to about there, start to create a bit of a taper. That's pretty much how I want it. Let's see if you can see that before I actually cut them off. I just want to clean up around that edge. One thing you'll probably notice is this side here, I keep forgetting what that center section is called. Let me know in the comments below. That center section there is a little bit smaller than the one on the other side here. So I just want to tighten up the one on the other side here. I'll round out the reins on both of these, and then I'll cut it through the center. And then once we've got the two blanks together, we can look about what are the refinements that we need to make. So I'll cool down this side, warm up this side, and get back to you. other side. Looking round, but it's still very thick, so I might actually taper that out a little bit. There's there's the option I've got for actually doing the easy way, which includes like cutting this with a with an angle grinder in the center. But as you know, this channel is about me getting better, so I'm even going to hot cut the piece in the center. I'm going to punch rather than drill the holes through this. So there's a little bit of cleanup that I've got to do, so I'll get that going. I'll get the cleanup done, I'll get the tapering done. We don't need to watch me continue to do that. Rounding out the reins, and then I'll come back and we'll get punching. Okay, so I've basically got the right form going all the way through. Go to the other side. I'm heating up the center part because I'm going to hot cut that right through the center. So the next you'll see is me doing that from the anvil. I'm just going to score it around like this, and then I'll get the chisel out for the rest of it. Oop, that end's hot. This end though is not so much. Here we are. There's our two ends. So we've got our two ends here. They're pretty much the right size. You can see there that they are not quite right, but I've got to clean up through the center here, and I've got to thin that out as well, because if you have a look at the them together, I need this area to be a little thinner through the center here where the 2 points meet, and obviously I've got to thin out these reins, and then I've got to spread the pincer ends of the tongs, and I know they've got a name but I keep forgetting, so that I can widen that out, make it a little bit fatter, and then create the indentations so that I can hold particular stocks. But it's feeling a lot thicker, a lot heavier than my previous tongs, so I'm happy with that. I am going to have to thin it out still a little bit though, and ideally not make a mess of it while I'm doing that. So I'll heat up the ends, and we'll get cleaning. Alright, so our two halves are pretty much the right size, and they should go together quite neatly when I create the punches. So now what I'll do is I'll create the punch through the center of each of these, and wish me the best of luck, because punching is certainly not a forte of mine. So I'll heat them back up, and we will get to punching. Alright, so we punched the hole, we put the indentation in. Now I'll heat it up, I'll hit it from the other side, and we should be able to get through. Bloody hell. Come out. Which I think that's... You can basically see it, they'll just drift through it. Alright. So there's my hole through one side. Now let's do the second side, and we're just about home. So we've got our two tong reins. They've got the holes punched through them. So it's probably the best punches I've done so far, which isn't saying much. I'm starting to get a bit punch drunk now, so I'm going to take a break and go and eat something and drink something, because I'm starting to pick up hot metal without thinking. So I've burnt myself a couple of times in the last few minutes. These will fit relatively neatly together. I'll just clean up the ends here once it's all pinned, and then start shaping the ends of our tongs, and obviously start moving the reins around and doing all the things I need to do to make it sit just right. So there's just a little bit of material here I could probably take off with a file, which I might do just to clean up the edge, and I might need to widen the holes here just a little bit, because the stock I've got, which I think is 6mm stock, is not gonna quite fit through here, so I'll just have to widen those slightly. So I'll take a break and I will come back. Alright, it's some time later, and this is the stock we're going to be using to make the rivet for the tongs. It's 6mm round stock, and I'll be using the block of steel, which you may or not remember, which just has a number of different holes in it. And I'll heat this up, cut it, put it inside the hole, snap the end off, and then actually create the top of my rivet. We'll wedge that one out, and then we'll go and put it into the tongs hot. So you can watch as I do that. Another rubbish rivet, but that'll do the job though. Alright, so I've added the rivet into this one. I'm going to knock it through, knock it through the profile. This is not easy. I don't know why it's not easy. Should be easy. Alright. So I've got that through there. I'm going to go heat it up and then I'll square it off. Alright, there, that's on there. The rivet is definitely in. Now I've got to go about shaping the front of these. Keep forgetting the name of it. I'll shape the front of the tongs, and I've got to bend the handles so that they're in alignment with one another. Side, and the other way. Gotta make sure I get it right in the middle. It's not quite on the middle on the other side. It's not a bad mark, I don't know if you can see that, but I really need to deepen that out. So I might use a thicker piece now that it has been scored. Okay, it's nice and hot now. Much thicker piece. So we'll try not to burn my fingers with. Okay. Make sure it's in the middle. Definitely not in the middle. Get in there, come on. Like I said, try not to burn my fingers. Okay, that's definitely got the indentation I'm looking for, but it's I just wanted to wrap a little bit more. So I'll just do this minor. Try the other side. In the center. Alright. Yeah, that indentation is looking good. That's pretty good. Alright, bar goes in through the front. Hold on to that. There. Alright, so they're the jaws I'm after, which is pretty good. Happy with that. Now, just got to clean these up so they're a neat fit. So I'll bend this around in the side here, and then I'll get the jaws exactly how I want them. Now, I'm not 100% sure that this is going to work. I'm sure there's a bloody easy way to do it, but I'll get if I know what that is. I'm going to try that one, and then I'll go on the other side, do the same thing here. I'm pretty sure that's right, that's what I'm after. Alright, so there we have it. Here is our completed set of tongs. My belief is that these are wolf jaw tongs. Let me know if I'm wrong, but basically you've got a number of different teeth here along the jaws, and we've got, I guess, what would be considered a tongue groove in through here and here, so that we can hold round stock at the same time as flat stock. It's still pretty rough and ready. I mean, this is the second pair I've ever made. Here's the first pair. So you can see I've done a little bit better than I did last time. I was trying to get the front even, but all in all, you know, they're not amazing. But this has been quite useful. These original tongs, and ideally these are going to be far more useful. They certainly are more heavy duty. So thanks so much for watching. If you like what you saw, like the video. If you've got any comments or hey, let me know if they're not wolf jaw tongs, because my understanding is that that is what that is. But so if it's not, let me know in the comments. Subscribe for more of these videos. I'd love to have you watching, and I'd love to hear your comments. It's fantastic. We'll read your comments. It's always good. Until next time, thanks so much for watching.